So my name is Rhianne and I am a level 3 FCCLA member, and I'm part of the Cheyenne East FCCLA chapter in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And this year I did my project on Teach and Train in Miss Haller's 3rd grade classroom. So starting out this project, my main concern was that I felt like I could teach certain subjects super well and other subjects not as well. I just didn't feel as confident in teaching math, but I felt super confident in teaching like social studies and English and those reading readiness skills. I felt super confident in that, but not as much in math. So then that became my main goal, was to be able to fully develop my teaching skills so that I could just go into any classroom and successfully teach a lesson on any subject, and the students would be able to pick it up super well. Being that I am in my 4th year in the early childhood education program, I got the opportunity to actually go out to sites and be in the elementary classrooms every single day. And I got paired with a super awesome teacher. Her name is Michelle Haller, and I just adore her so much. And I love her students. So I go out there every single day, starting back in September, and I'm still going, and I'm gonna go until the end of the school year. So about until May. I'll be in their classroom. So with that, I just go in for 1 hour a day, typically, sometimes a little bit longer. And I've also had the opportunity to do like full day experiences there. So we would teach literature, math, science. I also got to see the way like specials work and recess duty and everything like that, the ins and outs of the education program. And so that was super awesome. And like I said earlier, I'm still currently doing this. So I will be attending Saddle Ridge for like about an hour each day until the end of the year. But just to follow up and kind of recap my past experience so far, it has quite literally been life-changing. Beforehand, I was super nervous to teach like any age of students that weren't like 5-year-olds, because that's all I had known. But now I love 3rd grade, and I actually want to go into the early ed program. So probably like 2nd, 3rd, or 4th is what I actually want to do as my career. So that's super awesome. For my career exploration, I asked myself a couple questions like, what qualities do teachers need? What do they like? What aspects of teaching is hard? What's fun? What do teachers love? Everything like that. So I found that teachers need to be super energetic, super inspiring. They need to be able to have good relationships with students and good interpersonal skills to communicate with students. And I also found that they need to have like high stamina so that they can maintain their super positive energy throughout the entire day. And then I described a sample job that would be my dream job in the education field, and that would be to work in a super fun and inviting school. And I'd love to work in a school where there's a diverse group of students, and the socioeconomic status is a variety of different students, because I think it's important that you know how to teach to all students and to tend to their needs, whether that be in school or at home. And I also really want to work with a fun team of co-teachers, like other 3rd grade teachers. I really want to work with like teachers that are fun and love their job just as much as I know I would. And then those are just some qualities that teachers need, like being excited, like everything I mentioned earlier. The job outlook, teachers get paid about $54,000 a year, again, depending on where you're located, what school district you're teaching at. And from 2019 to 2029, the job outlook is projected to increase about 4% in these next upcoming years. And then I asked myself some personal questions, like, why do I want to be a teacher? And I think I want to be a teacher because I fell in love with the idea of inspiring the youth and the future generations of our society. I think that the young kids of our society are the core and the heart. They're the future of our government systems and everything like that. And I think it's really important to start at a young age, inspiring them and teaching them to become lifelong learners. So that's why I want to be a teacher. And I think I also have a lot of really good qualities that teachers need. I'm fun, I love kids, I'm super energetic, and I just love to laugh and hang out with students all day. Like, they're like my best friends. And then I took a career assessment through LCCC, which is the community college in Cheyenne. And my top career choice was education and training. So I know that that would be a good fit for me. And then further down it does say like secondary ed, but I'm not so sure about that quite yet. So that's just more about that. It says I'm super social, super fun, and I just love to teach. It is a couple pages long. It says I'm like investigative, so I like to do hands-on projects with students, and I think that's just super awesome, and I do think that describes me pretty well. Moving into my lesson plans, this is just the schedule of the days I'd go. In the first semester, I would go every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I would plan my lessons on Mondays and observe and reflect on my lessons on Fridays. But then I'd be there 3 days a week, all throughout the first semester. And then when the second semester switched, I switched into the elementary teaching program just because I loved going so much that I switched into that program, and now I get to go every single day for a specific period of time. And also when that switch was made, instead of being there during their stallion time, which is an intervention group, I'm there during math time, so I can develop more teaching skills in a broader aspect of lessons and different subjects in school. So this is a lesson plan for my intervention group, and I taught the tier 2 students, and we were learning all about fables. So we were learning about morals and everything that goes into fables, and this is just the lesson plan for that. They were able to identify, so we would read as a group together, answer a few questions, and then they would go by themselves and answer questions. So this is that packet, again, highlighting and underlining as we're reading. These are the questions we would answer together. This part they would do with a partner, and then this blank part back here they would do by themselves. And each page or after each section, they would come up with me and check their work so that I knew they were picking up what we were doing. And we did that for a couple weeks, and that is my reflection. I think it went super well. I actually tested my students on fables, and they were able to identify all aspects of fables, and it was super fun. Character traits, they were able to do all of that, and I think that went over really well. And then this is my teacher evaluation form. I actually had a long-term sub in my class for a little bit of time because my teacher had come down with an illness, and she had to be out for a little bit of time. But I think it was a good experience that I was able to learn to teach with other people and to get around to teaching with people that I wasn't super familiar with. So I think that was a really good experience to be with her. And then here we have my weekly summary sheets that I would fill out for my class. We would talk about the best things that happened that week and some of the worst things that would happen, because not all weeks are perfect. And then we would also talk about, down here I would reflect on things that I saw in practice that I learned during my teacher cadet class. So that I learned about how you need to give students the choice when they have behavioral issues. So like if a student is like misbehaving, you can be like, hey, this is your choice. You can do this now, or you can do this at recess. And we would just talk about all the things that we would learn in my teacher cadet class. And so there's a couple weeks of that right there. And then I did my job shadow reflection with Miss Haller. I mentioned earlier that I got to go for a couple full days, so I got to see from the start of the day to the end of the day, and I just really got to reflect on the way Miss Haller taught. So her classroom management skills were probably better than I've ever seen before. She was super excited with the students, and she also was always positive. So when getting their attention, she'd be like, world's best third graders, can you look up here? And that was super cool to see that she was so positive with the students, and that went over well with her. And then the observations that I made about the material that was being taught, I noticed that it's a little bit different from obviously from when I was in third grade. My students seem to be really, really smart, and that's really awesome. So that is some of the observations I've made. They learn like multiplication, fractions, everything like that. And then the evidence of planning, we actually have a curriculum that we follow, obviously. So we would go over at the beginning of the day all of the things in the lessons that we would be doing that day. And you can see like she has T-charts everywhere for that. And then these are just my observations of my class as a whole. I have a super diverse class as far as race and socioeconomic status go. And that's for my class and my school as a whole. The socioeconomic status is pretty diverse everywhere from middle class to high class to lower end. And I think that that's important that I got to teach in a classroom like that and in a building like that. And then here's just a couple pictures. This is me teaching my students a bulletin board, and then just a picture of my girls being goofy. And then the technology that we use the smartboard and the dot cam for everything, like every day. And then they also were assigned like student iPads, so that's what they get to use every single day. And then the works cited, I did the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the LCCC website, and Miss Haller. As far as obstacles that I have faced, it was kind of hard to like learn to balance my time between all the students and not just like a group of 3. But I think that I overcame that and learned that they were that I was able to balance my time with them, and that each student needed my time individually and as a group. And one skill that I learned was that it's super important to be excited with your students, because if you're excited, then they're excited. And that's what's really important, and that's how they learn best. Thank you.